Accion Bank we kugokun. Piano star 572 ash.
When you learn a corner, I look to Ramukude, I can Accion Bank dinner.
Má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ ìwọ ṣáà ti tẹ star 572 ash lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Nítòótọ́, ṣé pé tí mo bá ṣí àkáǹtì pẹ̀lú Accion wá máa máyé rọrùn fún mi?
Ina son iya karɓar kuɗin Accion Bank na yi amfani kai ƙara kasuwa ta.
Chai, Accion Bank ń kọ́ra ní ATM card.
No need to stress, I no need.
Hello, good morning. Can anyone hear me?
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Peter. Thank you so much. Good morning, our esteemed customers. I believe we are all doing great this morning and we are keeping safe. Thank you for joining the Accion MfB Konnect SME series. This is the first of its kind. The bank, this is first of the kind, and this is the first time the bank is organizing an exclusive training for its customers, selected customers. So my name is Adetokunbo Elliott. I'm the head of value chain, partnership and product development. I'd like to appreciate every one of you for joining us with this SME clinic this morning. So quickly, we would run through our poll questions. It will take less than 2 minutes for you to fill the questions. We just want you to share some of your information with us as we take the poll questions. So while the poll question is going on, please permit me to introduce our Chief Commercial Officer, who is present at this session. We would give you a few words this morning before we move on. Undubiso Noha, you're welcome to the session. Thank you.
I'm still muted.
Oh, okay, you're still muted. Admin, please, can you unmute Ndubisi or Noha? Thank you.
All right. Good morning, our dear customers. Good morning, our facilitator. And good morning, Tokumba and her team. I'm glad to be here this morning. I welcome you all to the second stream of our SME training. I'm glad some of you recognize the need for this, and that's why you can join, even with the very hectic programs, especially with the season that we are in. So it's good to appreciate the fact that knowledge is power, and that if you take out a little time out of your business to get knowledge, you can always go back, plow the knowledge back, and double what business you missed in these few hours. I understand it's going to be a 2-day session, so I'll urge you to sit back and enjoy it. We are aware of what the pandemic has done to the entire world economy. We are not left out. Nigeria, the country, is not left out. And then Accion and its customers are not left out. So what we did was, after the pandemic, we did the research and we found out that the pandemic has taken its toll on most of our customers. And because we know that if you do well, we do well. If you don't do well, there's no way we can do well. That's why we engage a subject matter expert to work with you so that he will lead you through and hold you through what you need to do to get back strongly back to your feet, to get back even to a position better than your pre-COVID position. And like we know, it's not all efforts that wins the race. It's strategy, it's knowledge. And we made no mistake in selecting the trainer for this session. Like you will realize as we go on, we got in somebody that has enough practical experience of this our economy, of the businesses that operate in this economy, of the impact you have felt and what you need to do to actually go back stronger and better than you were even before the COVID. So I want to urge all of us to take the session very seriously. It's part of one of the ways we're giving back to our esteemed customers. So take it seriously. Let it will be a very interactive session. Bring up practical problems you're facing so that the trainer can offer or provide good solutions to you. I know you must have your expectations before coming here, and I want to believe they will be met. With my own expectations, our expectations as a bank, after this session, we want to see increased business volumes. We want to see you take even higher volume of loans than you have been taking. And we want to believe that every adverse impact of COVID will go with this year so that next year will be an entirely new year. We'll bounce back our business, overcome all the psychological impact we've had, and we'll be saying a very resounding happy new year when we move into next year. Thank you very much. I want to sit back and enjoy this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndobisi. So like I said earlier, dear customers, we welcome you to the 2-day SME session, whereby we will have professionals that will be training you on how to manage your business cycles and how you can improve your business operations. So the training will run today and tomorrow. Tomorrow it will also start at the same time, 9:40. So please join me as we receive our facilitators from the Pendaxia group. The facilitators for today are Peter Aishida, is the CEO of Pendaxia, and Benga Wolabi. So Peter, you're welcome on board, please. The poll questions are still up. Please fill the poll questions. Yeah, just questions on your information, how you got to know about the training, the sector you operate in, and all that. It's just for our records. Thank you.
Good morning once again, Tokumbo. Thank you for that introduction.
You're welcome, Peter.
Good morning, morning, and good morning to all the customers and participants that are participating in this session of SME Clinic by Accion Microfinance Bank. You're welcome to this program, and today we're going to be starting you off on the Leadership and Entrepreneurship Advancement Program, or LEAP. And the course that will be, it's a comprehensive entrepreneurship program, but the course that we'll be taking today is titled Managing Business Cycles. Managing Business Cycles. And this course is being delivered by Pendaxia Learning Solutions. Pendaxia Learning Solutions, I'll talk about a bit about that. What we hope to achieve, or what we hope you'll be able to get out of this program is, one, a better understanding of the environmental factors that affect businesses, sometimes causing disruptions and impacting on your business cycle. So a better understanding of what those environmental factors are. Secondly, we hope to identify what would you help you identify trends and likely scenarios as a result of the COVID-19 impact and what is likely to happen post-COVID, and how do you go about understanding the possible scenarios and using that information to position or reposition your business for success. And then
sorry, Peter. Peter, sorry, this is Tokumbo. I'm so sorry to interject. Yeah, sorry. I forgot to mention to the participants that at the end of the training tomorrow, we'll be issuing them e-certificates. So I would like each and every one of them to please drop their email addresses in the chat box so we can email them their e-certificates. Okay, thank you. And again, what we are also doing, we'll be giving out incentives to customers that participate effectively in the training, that ask questions and interact more with us. We have gifts for them at the end of the training as well. So please drop your email address in the chat box. Thank you. Please go ahead, Peter.
Thank you very much. Clearly, Accion Microfinance Bank has planned and prepared for you. So I hope you do take full advantage of this training program. Okay. So we hope to see the different factors impacting your business and the business cycle, and use that understanding to reposition your business, take advantage of technology, etc., to position for success. So that's what we want to achieve with this training program. As I did say that this program is being delivered by my organization, Accion, via on strategy execution, organization, and human performance. And so we use our experience in helping organizations manage their businesses to bring to bear on companies through training and learning programs or webinars like this. My name is Peter Aishida, as Tokuwa mentioned. I'm the CEO of Accion. I've been a management consultant for a number of years, so I have extensive experience with managing businesses. And very recently, I was a director of one of the 6 CBN Entrepreneurship Development Centers in this country. And for 5 years during that period, we spent time working with small and medium enterprises to develop the capacity of the leadership, the founders, the leaders, to develop their entrepreneurship capacity. And so I'm hoping that we can bring that experience to bear on this program, on this training program for you. So I'll be facilitating this program along with my colleague, Benga Awolabi, who also has very extensive experience in running and managing businesses, advising businesses, and raising and working with entrepreneurs, having been the project director of the South-South Entrepreneurship Development Center of the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as a director of the Northwest Entrepreneurship Development Center. So we bring quite a bit of entrepreneurship experience, and I hope we'll be able to bring it to bear for you in this program. As Tokubo said, this is a 2-day program, so it's 2 hours today and then 2 hours tomorrow. And so today, the program will look something like this. After this introduction, which will round up shortly after this, we will start off with a context setting session we call Surviving Nature and Urbanization. And then Benga, I'll hand over to my colleague Benga, who will take you through basic elements of the economy that will help you understand the business cycle and interpret things that are going on with respect to your business. And then we'll go on to look at how you would go about understanding the environment, conducting an environment assessment, the environment within your business, within which your business is functioning, how you would understand the environment and begin to be able to plan different scenarios of outcomes, depending on what direction the environment goes in. After that, Benga will come back again to take you through a process of how businesses reposition for recovery and growth. And then we'll wrap it up by taking some time to look at some questions. Now, as we go through this, our intention and objective is that this session will be very, very practical. Okay, so it's not supposed to be a lecture. It is supposed to, our whole idea is to introduce some ideas and thoughts and then engage you. So one of the ways we hope you will be engaged is to use the chat box and the chat facility. So from time to time, we would ask you to kindly type in something in the chat box, either in response to a question or through sharing your own thoughts and ideas. And that way we can make this session more interactive, and also more importantly, make sure that what we are covering is focused on areas or issues that are very relevant to your business. So that's very important. We want this to be a session that's really very relevant to your business, so you can pick up things that you can take away and immediately begin to apply in your business environment, whatever that may be. So that's what the program looks like. We're going to dive straight into the first session. Again, please, we'll ask you to kindly keep your microphones muted unless you want to ask a question or make a comment. So you can raise up your hand, and then you can go ahead and do that. We call and go ahead and do that. And if you don't want to speak, you can type in your question or comment in the chat box. We'll get it, and we'll try as much as possible to respond immediately. Okay. So On that note, I hope everyone heard what I said, and I hope you're all with me. So very quickly, can we just start off? Can I ask you to just type in yes into the chat box so that I know you're hearing me and that you've followed so far. So you can just locate the chat box and type yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Caleb or Latona. Thank you very much, Tokubo. So you can just go ahead and type yes so that I know that you're hearing, you're following. Thank you, Mrs. Odu Mokweola. Thank you, Florence. Okay, so I'm getting good feedback, so you're following. Thank you very much. So if you haven't typed it, just type it so that we know you're in. As we go straight into the first session or the first segment, this is a brief one. It's an introductory segment to the program, and we've called it very interestingly, Surviving Nature and Urbanization. Why? Well, as we go on, you understand things around us change. Let's start from that understanding. I'm sure most of us will agree with this. Change is inevitable. Everything changes around us, both on a personal level and on a business level. So we don't need to spend time on that. It's very clear that change is inevitable. We need to know how to manage change. But even though change is inevitable, achieving success in a changing environment or surviving in a changing environment is not necessarily inevitable. In other words, success doesn't necessarily come to you where you are. You have to ensure that you, and in this context, your business, you and your business for success. So you have to understand the parameters that help your business to succeed, and then position your business to be able to take advantage of those parameters for success. Okay, and so if the current environment you're in is not the environment that you can't see success coming out of it, then you need to look for what environment is that success. Like you see the fish jumping into another environment. Same thing with you. Create the environment for success. That's important. And so when you look, when we talk about creating the environment for success, we're talking about, remember this course is managing business cycles. And the reality is that in every aspect of natural life, there are cycles. There is the weather cycle where you have your dry season and rainy season, and then back to dry season and rainy season. Or in the case of, for the Western world, you have your spring, summer, fall, winter. There are cycles in virtually every aspect of life. You talk about the water cycle, the cycle of plant life or animal life. The cycles in virtually every aspect of human life. And so if that is true, and humans take time to understand this cycle, is because this truth is also applicable in our context. So just as there are cycles in nature, there are cycles in the economy, and there are cycles in business, and they are a natural part of business, okay? They're a natural part of business. You have your typical economic cycle where there's a time of expansion and growth, and then some crisis happens, like the recent COVID-19 crisis that came all of a sudden. And a consequence often of a crisis situation is recession. But the economy and the business environment doesn't stay in recession. After a while, slowly, sometimes, but surely, there will be a time of recovery, and then you're back into expansion. So just like cycles are common and natural in the natural world, the business cycle is also natural. Okay, so for many of us facing the downside of that business cycle with the abrupt changes that COVID-19 brought in, don't despair. There will surely come an upturn at some point. But the question for you as a business owner is, what do you do when you are confronted with the downturn in the business cycle? What is your own response? Do you allow yourself and your business to become a casualty of the downturn and allow the downturn to destroy your business? Okay, as shown in this picture, whereby the gentleman is saying they are steady. What he didn't point out is that they are steadily declining, as many people experience during the downturn. But do you allow that decline to persist and ultimately destroy your business? Or do you choose to say, hey, what do I need to do to restructure this business to survive in this downturn, such that when the next expansion comes, I am able to position myself to ride the wave of that expansion? That is a preferred option, a preferred mindset. But even better is to say, hey, how do I position myself or my business so that I can actually defy the business cycle, the downturn in the business cycle, and very quickly pivot my business to an aspect of the economy or a different line of business that is showing some promise and showing some growth when others are in decline, and therefore defy the downturn of the business cycle and create your own upswing. Okay, so this is a decision every business owner, every business manager needs to make. What do I allow? Do I allow the downturn to destroy my business, or do I step back, reposition plan, and make sure I'm able to grow, or even survive and grow, or even continue growing in the midst of the downturn? And what this course is about is helping us to understand the business cycle, understand the impacts of it, understand the different environmental scenarios around it, so that you're able to either restructure to survive and then ride the wave, or to defy the downturn and keep your business growing. And there are many ways to do that. And we have seen many organizations that even in the midst of the pandemic and the challenges, they've been able to survive and restructure their business, or even create new channels of business or new channels of income, and are finding themselves growing. And that's what we hope to look at. So just like we said, there are natural cycles, and then there's the business cycle. So also in the natural, like, there are simple principles that you help you understand your environment and climb the waves of growth. And this analogy this is an acronym I just want to start us off with, from a survivalist who is advising people on what to do if they're lost in the wilderness. And he's proposed an acronym of STOP, stop. And it simply means, first of all, stop what you're doing if you're experiencing downturn, rather than keep on doing the same thing. Stop for a minute. Step back and think, what is the situation? What is happening around me? And what are the opportunities? What are the threats? And then observe, what can I do differently? What should I be doing differently? And then you begin to plan. So stop simply means, hey, stop. If you find yourself struggling in your business, stop what you're doing. Take time to think and observe what is happening, what are the opportunities, what are the actual challenges, what are the root causes, and then plan a course of action out of that business, out of that situation. Okay, so that's what this simple process of stop, think, observe, plan will be taking you through it. And the whole idea is that you are able to position your business to ride the next wave of growth. And that way, we used another analogy. By the way, links to these videos were put on the Accion website, so you can look at them. On the surface, they seem not to have much to do with business, but they are important analogies because, like I said, every business cycle, after the crisis and the recession or the downturn, there is an upturn, there's an uptick, there's a recovery, and there's an expansion. And as a business, you need to understand what is happening and be able to position yourself so that as that recovery is coming in, you're able to position your organization to ride the wave of recovery. And again, there are some simple things you need to do using the analogy of a surfer to ride the wave. One, equip yourself. Two, make sure your business is positioned properly so that you're able to take advantage of that recovery when it comes. Check the timing, understand this. For some of you, this may be the right time to not just contract, but to invest so that you can put some of the equipment you have, or the facilities you have, or the business relationships you have, or the customers you have, to put them to a different use or a different source of income. But you need to check the timing, be sure that the timing is right. And then once you're sure the timing is right, you catch the wave and you grow. So this analogy is basically to say, hey, when you're managing a business cycle, don't let it overwhelm you. What you do is stop, think, observe, plan, and then you position your organization so that you understand what's going on in the environment, where the real opportunities are, and then how to ride the waves as those opportunities come. Okay, so this is a very brief introduction to this course. I'm now going to invite my colleague, Benga Wolabi, who is going to come and take us through the next aspect, which is to take you into a bit more detail in understanding the economic cycle and the business cycle. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Now, I hope, again, I hope you're still hearing and receiving the video. And so as we transition to Benga, I'd like you to do something very quickly and just type in to the chat box, STOP as an acronym. What did we say STOP means? S-T-O-P, okay? So you're just going to go into the chat box and you type in, what did we say STOP is for you and how does it help you? So S-T-O-P, what does that mean? So very quickly, we're waiting for the first chat. S-T-O-P. As we're trying to come up. Oh, the Tokuma just made it sweeter. The very first correct answer gets a gift. So rush to your chat box quickly. What is S-T-O-P, the acronym that we just spoke about? Okay, somebody says, stop, think, observe, and plan. Bamidele Matthew. Well, congratulations, I'll give that to you. Even though you said top, I assume that the S somehow did not, the S key refused to show. So, congratulations, that I will give that to you. Stop, acronym says, stop, think, observe, and plan. So that goes to Bamidele Matthew. But please, if you go ahead and type in your own, you don't know yours, you may just have, there may just be something more for you now. So the rest of you, please type in. What did you say STOP means? The acronym STOP, S-T-O-P. So we're still waiting to hear from you. I hope you're able to locate your chat box. Now, depending on your device, you may be at the bottom of your screen or in some cases at the top of your screen. Okay, so while Benga is coming up, and it's coming up now, so please respond quickly. Okay, Mr. Ademola, okay, say stop, think, observe, stop, think, observe, think. Oh, so the last one, you didn't quite get that right. That last one is plan. Okay. By the way, thank you for responding. The rest of you, we hope you respond the next time we ask for a response. All right, now hand over to Benga. So take us through. Okay, Tokuma, I think you need to give Benga sharing rights.
Sharing rights. Okay, I'll do that right away. Okay, I'll do that. Admin, please give Benga Wolabi sharing rights, please. Thank you.
Hello, Tokubo, can you hear me? Okay, still waiting.
Yes, I can. Can you share now?
So it's Benga Wolabi, not Wolabi. It's Benga Wolabi, please. Yes, I can share.
You can share now. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure. Once again, I want to appreciate Accion Microfinance Bank for the opportunity and to also congratulate the customers that are online. It promises to be very engaging, 2 hours, and I'm hoping that from even my session, we'll begin to build up on what Peter had said. This course will enable you to have a better understanding in terms of the environment and what it can do and the impact of the environment to your business and how you can respond or react so that the environment does not negatively affect your business. You can weather the storm that does come. Like Peter had mentioned, nature always comes in cycles, nature. And so even our social interaction, particularly the economic environment, also comes in cycles. And it's important to know why do these things happen? And then how do I know what particular cycle, what particular stage of the cycle we are? Because the decisions you make as a business owner will also be better if you understand the cycles and you can align your decisions to those cycles. And so that you don't find yourself swimming against the tide, but rather you find yourself being aided by the tide. And like Peter said, you catch the waves, and take advantage. So I will be talking about the basic elements of the economy and the business cycles. What is it? When we say economy, what are the basic things that bring about this economy? And what are the things that bring about the economic cycle? Many of us always hear terminologies like recession or recovery or growth or expansion. Every country desires for growth. Every country desires that their economy should grow and expand. And that means that their businesses are doing well, people are able to buy, there's prosperity. And everyone tries to avoid or minimize the impact and the duration of any recession where there is a downturn and there's a decline. And so I'm going to just talk around the things that bring about these situations so that as we then manage our business, we can begin to have the right tools, the right mindset, and the right frame of mind to make decisions within those different phases of the cycle. So let me begin by saying to us that the basic element of any economy is transaction. Transactions form the basic element. Whether you call it market or economy, at the basic level is transaction. And when we say transaction is when you have exchange of value between a buyer and a seller. A buyer has a need for something, and a seller has that which the buyer requires. It could be a physical product, or it could be an intangible product. It could be a service. So if I have need for a barbering service, I will go to a barbering salon and I will have my hair cut. Now the haircut is a service because they're not really giving me anything other than helping me cut the hair. They're giving me a service. And if women are here that need clothing, you have an outing coming up and you feel that in your wardrobe you don't have that particular outfit for that occasion and you need a new piece of garment or fashion item to wear for that occasion, then you go to a fashion store and you get yourself a tangible cloth that you're going to have. If I want to transact or make a wire transfer or money transfer, I go and get a service to offer that for me to be able to take advantage. So basically, service or transaction is the basic element, and that in itself can either come in the form of credit or cash. When we say credit, for example, I could buy a service and I will promise the seller the value of that item I am procuring. I will promise the seller a future payment of that value. Or if I'm using cash, I could promise the seller, I could give the seller immediately the value that has been determined and mutually agreed. So if I have my haircut in my neighborhood, I can just put my hand in my pocket and give the barber the exact fare, 50 naira or 100 naira or 500 naira as the case may be, the exact fare or the exact value of cash that haircut determined. Now, if I have a relationship with the seller I can say to him, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't bring my ATM and I don't have cash in my hands. I can do a transfer to you later, but can you just give me like a day? When I get back home, I will do the transfer. That's a form of credit. There's no immediate transfer of that exchange of value, but there's a promise that this will be repaid at a particular time. And that credit can also be given by financial institutions who may make that promise on your behalf to someone else, or may provide you with the finance that you need so that you can make the transaction, but then you promise the bank or the financial institution that you will pay back at a different time. And I was listening to the chief commercial officer for Accion, and he said one of the expectations of the bank for our customers who are going through this program is that your businesses will expand, you will have better understanding, you'll be able to do more business, and then you can also come to the bank for more financial intermediation products. Particularly, you can come back to increase your portfolio of loans that will help you to facilitate that growth of business that the bank desires for you. So he used the word loan, credit, meaning that the banks can extend you more credit. The banks can put in your hands the financial requirement to get some transactions done, and you then promise the bank a repayment over a period of time, and of course that repayment can come with some level of interest on top of it. So essentially, we talk about spending when we talk about the economy, and total spending is what drives an economy, and I'm going to go to that later, but let's just look at it that when we talk about transaction, that's the basic form of exchange that makes up our economy. And when we find buyers and sellers that are buying very similar products and services, that is what we call generally a market. A market is where we find buyers and sellers of the same products or services. So where you find a lot of barbering salons or barbers or beauty salons that are available to make a haircut or beautify the women's hair and all of that, that's a market. A market is where you have buyers and sellers, particularly when you have similar goods. So you can have what is called a fruit market. That when we say market now, it doesn't refer to the geographical location. So it's not the typical way that we use market when we say I'm going to Okeari market, or I'm going to Agidi market, or I'm going to Ariaria market, or I'm going to Apopo, and all of these well-known prominent markets that are physically geographical location. No, from an economic standpoint, market is more inclined towards the sort of aggregation of transactions between buyer and seller of similar goods. So when we say fruit market, that fruit market in Nigeria can be all locations where fruits are being bought and sold. We're trying to understand the dynamics of that market, whether the location is in Lagos or Calabar or anywhere. We just say fruit market referring to the buying and selling of fruits in Nigeria. You can refer to the car market. We're talking about the buying and selling of cars in Nigeria, or stock market. For example, even the stock market where we buy shares, even though the stock exchange is physically located in Lagos, there are people who buy shares and sell shares in Kano or in Enugu or in Abuja, even though that the physical location actually is in Lagos. So a market from an economic standpoint is where you have buyers and sellers. Now, sometimes that word market may be used interchangeably with the word industry. But industry tends to look more at the sellers, particularly the sellers, without necessarily looking at the buyers. So the sellers, where you have a group of sellers, again, offering the same goods and services, you will regard them as an industry. So in banking industry are all the banks put together that offer banking services. You can even choose to then break that down into smaller segments and say, okay, microfinance banking industry, which is where we have all the microfinance banks, of which Accion Microfinance Bank is one of the largest, and of course, probably even the best in terms of customer service and reach, and their proposition to the customers. So that can be regarded as an industry. And what you want to do when you look at industry is, what are the characteristics of these sellers? You know, what the dynamics among them? What is the interplay? Are they cooperating? Are they very competitive? You know, how sensitive are they to pricing? What are their propositions? Is it a concentrated market where there seem to be dominant players? So if you look at our telecommunications industry today, our mobile phone industry, even though we have, I think, 4 mobile phone operators, we have MTN, we have Airtel, we have Etisalat, and we have Glo. Those are the 4 prominent ones. You'll be surprised to know that MTN has, I think, almost 50% of the market share, almost half of the market share, while the remaining 3 are fighting for their shares with the remaining 50%. But be that as it may, even the entire market of telecommunications is offered to us by only 4 companies. So there's a bit of concentration in that regard. I mean, that's why today in Nigeria you can't do multiple phones, because one service provider may not be as good as the other, so you have to keep 2 phones, you know. And there are not many choices that we have. But in banking, there are about 25 banks, maybe 26, 27 with the Providus Bank and the new banks that have been licensed. And even when you now start looking at those are the what we call universal or commercial banks, there are new banks like again the merchant banks and the investment banks that are also beginning to come up. Microfinance banks also. So even the microfinance industry, we'll be talking of well over 100 banks. So you have a lot of choice in that case. So sometimes we can say an industry is fragmented, where there are many players, or an industry is concentrated, where there are few players. And an industry may even be monopoly, even though it's not an economic case to have, because the monopolist tends to give you or transfer their inefficiency. So let's look at our power sector. Even though the power sector has been privatized, the real sense is that on the distribution side, there's still a bit of monopolization there. Because depending on the location where you are, you can only be served by one particular distribution company. So again, those companies can just tell you, take or leave it. You either take it or you leave it. You know, they can monopolize the market and pass their inefficiencies to you. So organizations and industries are better to be a bit fragmented, a bit competitive, so that there's some choice to the consumers. So we look at industry from that side. But when you now say, okay, sellers and buyers, or industry and buyers, then you call it a market. And this is the what we look at in terms of economics. Now, moving on to the next. So aggregating all these markets is what makes up our economy. So when we say Nigerian economy, we're saying that the aggregate of all of our markets that we have been describing, the natural gas market, petroleum product market, stock market, fashion, food, drinks, anything, all the products you can imagine, all those markets aggregated make up what we call the economy, where exchange of goods and services is being done. And an economy is really, at the end of the day, the aggregation of the spending and quantity of products. Because it's always exchange, there's an equilibrium. So how much has been spent or how much goods and services has been produced is what really makes up an economy. And they measure it in a term called the gross domestic product, or the GDP. And so the GDP is something that is used to measure the economy of a country or a nation or a sovereign state, a sovereign administrative state, where the decisions and the policies and the guidelines for economic transaction and social transaction is within the administration of that state. You know, so we use GDP to measure that, and it is a reflection of the total spending within that economy. And like I said, the spending itself is both the cash and the credit. Credit is a form of financial instrument that can be used to facilitate spending, to buy. So when there's credit available, you can use that to buy. When there's no credit available, you have to depend on cash. So imagine when someone has some cash, but then is also offered some credit, then both the cash and the credit increases the purchasing ability of that individual to buy more. And even for a company, you're a businessman, you may have generated your own cash from your business cash flow, but the bank can then offer you some credit So both your cash and that credit can be used to expand your business, either to open new locations and store, or to buy more goods that you can sell, or to offer more services through more people that you can hire. So the credit itself is a form of financial intermediation that facilitates spending and allows an economy to grow. And all of these things have implications as we go on. And so when we look at the whole spending, we talk about the people, the businesses, the banks, the governments. These are where transactions that form the best element of it make the economy to grow. And that's what an economy is all about. So the key players that are in an economy, of course, are a central government and a central bank. Let me just, before I kind of dive into that, let me quickly mention this, that naturally speaking, economies should grow, naturally speaking. And this is the reason why economies need to grow. Population grows, as we all know. And as population grows, then it means there are more number of people that will be spending or buying things. Even at the same time, as population grows, it also means that there should be more number of businesses that can create value to sell things. So as a population grows, so also should the economy grow. So if Nigeria was a country of about 60 million in the 1960s and 1970s, now that Nigeria is a country of about 200 million in 2020, then it means that there should be some also corresponding growth of our economy, because there's now more people to buy things or more people to produce things. The total spending and total production is what makes up our GDP. And so the more we are, then the bigger our economy should be in the real sense of it. And also, because like what Peter had said, change is inevitable, change happens all around. One other thing that also facilitates growth of the economy is productivity. So when you look at in the 1960s, Nigeria used to be an agrarian country. We were purely agriculturally based, and a lot of our output then was based on agricultural products. And not only were we agriculturally based, we were also to a large extent subsistence. That is, we were doing low-cost agriculture production. The farmer would go with his bow and cutlass and his household, basket and what have you. The herdsmen would just have to herd their cattle or their animal husbandry around with their sticks and walk around. But over the years now, there's been a bit of mechanization. There are now adoption of technology and tools to enhance productivity. So today we have tractors, even though we still do have a lot of the subsistence farmers, but we also are now having mechanized farming, mechanization with tractors, harvesting with combined harvesters, irrigation with irrigation systems and dams. And so those productivity tools increase our ability to produce more, and because we can produce more and we have a bigger population that can buy more, then the economy will increase. So population and productivity are things that can stimulate economic growth. And the key players that influence all of this spending are the central governments and the central bank. Of course, the people and the businesses themselves also influence. So those are the four key influencing entities in an economy. But I'll look at the government and the banks and then also consider how people and businesses influence what now ends up becoming the cycle that happens to be the economic cycle we're talking about here. But understanding these basic elements are very important. All right. So a central government, they are basically the entity that oversees an administrative, or what you would call a sovereign state. And what they do is to try and provide the basic infrastructure that is required for transaction to take place. I mean, you can imagine if you have to go to the farm, you need roads to have access to the farm. If you have to bring your harvested products from the farm, you need roads to bring them out. If you have to go and sell to the sellers and to get buyers to come, you need shopping malls and markets, physical market now, to go there and sell, stores, you need electricity. So there are some things that can be provided by central governments that are better provided in a public manner, on a large scale, to reduce the cost of providing those items, so that those items, infrastructure, can facilitate economic activity, like an airport or a seaport. To make transactions from abroad, we need to bring in goods by sea. Across the nations of the world, there are about 250 plus sovereign states in the world. The major means of exchange of goods and services, or let me not say services now, but of goods, the major means of exchange of goods, transporting those goods across these 250 plus countries, is by sea, by ship. And so you need seaports to be able to bring in those goods and then berth the ship and offload them and then bring them into your own country. And so governments need to provide those kinds of seaports, provide rail, provide road, provide electricity through public financing, whereby they can do this on a large scale to let everybody have access, equal access, so to speak. So governments spend a lot of money. Governments are known to spend money. And because they're a provider of all this infrastructure, and they also need to enable the environment to be equitable, objective, and fair to both the producers, the sellers, and the buyers, again, government needs to hire people. So like you know, our own federal government is one of the largest employers of labor. And so again, when they hire people, they have to pay them salaries. And when they pay these people salaries, people then have money to go and spend in the economy to buy things from sellers. So the central government really and truly is a major factor or major influencing entity in an economy because they spend. And how do these entities, the central government, how do they get money that they're going to spend? They usually get money through taxes. These governments collect taxes, or they collect royalty, like in the case of Nigeria, because all of our major infrastructural and all of our major resources, our earth resources, our valuable resources like oil, mineral resources, and so many other things, even our air, the air that we have. You know, in the air, there are some resources called frequency. They are not tangible resources, but they are called frequency. So those frequencies within the atmosphere are what telecommunication providers use. So all those resources are held by the central government as custody on behalf of a nation. Through those entities, governments now license different private enterprises to exploit them, but they collect royalty from them. The central government collects royalty. So they can collect money from tax, from royalties, from income. All right. I hear that there's someone raising their hand. Modex. You have a question? Modex. There's someone with a device called Modex. You're raising your hand. I don't know if you have a question or a comment, or maybe it was just accidental. Okay, I take it that it was accidental, so I will just continue. So please, if you have a question, do raise your hand. But if you don't, or if you don't want to distract, you can then also put your comments in the comment box. So taxes are raised and governments then spend money. Now guess what? As government wants to increase its spending, it can get more taxes. It gets more taxes, it increases its spending. All right? And sometimes, in order not to spend too much, they can also reduce their tax to leave the money in the hands of the people and not have money. So there's going to be always a balance between government spending and the taxes. So that's on the one hand. Government can influence an economy because we said the economy is, at the end of the day, the total spending that the economy has. Now, the central banks in a structural entity, they are charged with the control of the amount of money, the supply of money. Because every country is a sovereign country, that country can determine the medium of exchange, what it will be called. In Nigeria's case, it is called Naira. In America, it is called dollars. In China, it's called the yuan or the renminbi. In the United Kingdom, now they've gone back to their pounds. In the European country, they have what is called the euro. In Ghana, it's called the cedis. And so every nation has their own means of exchange of value, currency, money, physical money. And so the central bank is charged with the supply of that money, which will facilitate the exchange of the value from the sellers to the buyers. And they determine how that money will be supplied into the system. They are responsible for printing that money and making it available. But we also want to control that money so that there's not too much money in circulation at any point in time. Money itself, again, listen very clearly, money itself is not really valuable. Money itself is just the means of the exchange of the value. So the value is what it is that is being exchanged by the seller and the buyer. I want a haircut so that my hair will be fresh, I will look tidy and presentable, and so I get a haircut. So money is just that exchange. The real value is me that wants the haircut to look presentable, and the barber that has offered me that service. I want a cloth on myself so I will not be naked. I can also look presentable and fashionable. So the cloth is what it is that is of value to me. The seller of the fashion item has given me the value which I have received. Therefore, I just give you that money in exchange as a proof that value has been transferred, and that proof can then be used elsewhere. So central banks are responsible for printing money just to enable the exchange of value. So that value is created by you and I when we tap when we exploit the earth, when we create new business ideas, when we offer new services. We are the ones creating the value. And so as we keep creating value and people keep demanding for value, more money needs to be supplied to facilitate the exchange of that value. So you can imagine, you have to keep printing money so that the money you have in supply will help to facilitate the exchange of that value. All right, but again, if you overprint the money and there's too much money in supply, then in itself it can distort the value that is being created. With too much money, it can create what is called inflation, because now there will be too much money available chasing too little goods. And if there are not much money in circulation, sometimes it can create a deflation, because the businesses that have all the goods and services, they now realize that there are not much people with money. They may have to start discounting their services so that they can at least attract that who have the little money to buy from them, and that can deflate the prices of their products and all of that. So the central banks manage the interest rate, that is the rate at which money is being available to people, the credit. Because remember that even you can have credit given to us. So when we look at the central bank, if you remember, I talked about the central government being a large spender in providing social infrastructure and providing the economic infrastructure. The central banks are the bankers for the government. So government also can say they want to take credit, okay? Credit either from the central bank or credit from the people. If a government wants to take credit from the people, they take it in the form of bonds. So they can ask people to come and give them money, and they issue a bond, which is future payment of that money with some interest in future years, so that government will have enough more money to spend to provide infrastructure, or they can take it in form of credit, either from the central government or foreign governments, again, to have more money to spend, so that with the spending of the money, the economy expands. Okay, and so the selling and the buying of bonds and all of that is one of the responsibilities of central bank. Then, because we talked about cash being not too much in availability or not also too little, you're looking for an equilibrium of how much money should be out there that will facilitate the exchange of services and the demand of sellers. Again, banks, the central banks have the responsibility for determining the reserve requirements for the banks. Most of the time, we keep our money with banks. God has been to keep your money under your pillow. You know, you keep your, or you dig a hole and put your money. Although in Nigeria, you still find some of those strange practices where dollars are being kept in septic tanks and coffins and what have you. But that is not the norm. Those are exemptions. We keep our money with banks. And so those banks have the responsibility to keep account of the money we have with them and then issue it back to us when we need this, and so we can use that for exchange of the transaction. But sometimes the government does not want too much money out there, and so we try to define what is called the reserve ratio, meaning that the banks have a minimum amount of cash they can have in their hand to be used to give people for transaction. The central bank wants to tighten the flow of that money, again, as a means of regulating the economy. So they call it the reserve ratio. In Nigeria, it's called the cash reserve ratio. And then there's also what is called the discount rate, or that which informs the interest rate that banks can then lend out money to those who have need. Bankers offer money through a form of intermediation. When they take money from those who want to deposit or save their money, they also use that money to help those who want to trade and quickly use credit to do some transactions for future profit. They give that money out as credit with an interest on top of it. So the banks can also borrow money from central bank, and in borrowing from central bank, it's called the discount rate. And that also influences the interest rates to which they give out money to people, consumers or businesses who need more money to produce or to buy so that the economy can grow. So these are the functions of central banks that also influence what we call the economy, largely speaking. Okay? So, and I've mentioned that. So I've talked about inflation, interest rates, and all of that, the monetary policies that banks do. But it's important to note that credit is a very important part of the economy, because it is in itself, I don't want to use the word fictitious money, but it is just money that is created out of thin air to say, look, offer a promise that you will pay me back. So just take this paper as an offer of promise that you will pay me back in future. And it's important that if that credit is not paid back and that credit becomes bad, it may affect the economy, because you can have what is called bad debt or write-off debt or write-off credit that in itself may destroy value, because that credit was used to exchange value, and when it no longer becomes payable or disappears, then it can in itself destroy value if it is not real money. So that credit aspect is very vulnerable. Now, but every country has its own money, and therefore to also know what is the value of our own country's money in relation to the value of another country's money, then that's where the exchange rate comes in. So one of the things that we are told, for example, is that some of our customers here are people who import. We are traders. So we go to China, some of you may be going to Turkey, some of you may be going to Europe or America, and the goods and services you are offering in our domestic market here in Nigeria are brought in from these foreign countries. Or the other way around, a lot of our production, the things that we create here, you may be a small business in foods, and you are producing some very unique or even our domestic food properties that people in the diaspora want to keep buying and want to keep eating because they are already used to these foods. So we are able to export. The exchange of our own local currency to another foreign country's local currency is called the exchange rate, and there are things that influence that, and it affects our economy. So again, because of the pricing of your goods and services, if you import to Nigeria, you price your goods and services based on the exchange rate, and then you want to be sure that you are adding some profit. So if the exchange rate is going high, whereby our naira is being devalued, you have to increase the price of your goods so that you can still maintain your profit. That can affect the economy because less people can buy. When your goods are beginning to become expensive, maybe less people can buy, and that can also affect the economy. So these are things that we need to recognize that influence our economy. And at the end of the day, I will just keep this. You will find this in the notes when you get the materials. This one gives us a difference between monetary policy and fiscal policy. The fiscal policy is the way government spends money. The monetary policy are the ways that central banks make money available. All right, so that's been there. So when you have credit availability for people to be able to buy things, like I said, it increases spending and allows the economy to grow and expand. Okay, but when the interest rate is high and there's less borrowing and people are not able to borrow to pay back, then it also may affect the economy to reduce the spending. So depending on how well money is available, it can either inflate the economy or deflate the economy. And it is the spending that we have that helps us to increase our overall output of our economy. So I'm going to tell you the human behaviors and the business behaviors that result from credit availability or non-availability that then makes this cycle of recession, recovery, and growth, and then recession, recovery, and growth, which is now called the economic cycle. This is the human behavior that results in that. So if there's credit availability and I can loan money at low cost, I can get a lot of money at low cost. It doesn't cost me much money to repay back that loan. I will go for the money and then have enough in my hands to spend for goods and services. The same thing if businesses have availability of credit, low cost credit, they can also go for it to expand their businesses to produce more goods and services. So when you have a lot of credit availability, low cost, it helps to inflate the economy. But if at the time that low credit was there, and there are now too much money in the hands of people than the goods that are being supplied, because it would instigate inflation. When there's too much money and too few goods, the likelihood is that those goods will be priced higher. It will result in inflation. And you don't want an economy where there's inflation, where the prices of goods are going high too fast. You want a steady economy that you can predict the prices of goods. So if you are beginning to see that inflation is going high, central banks respond by trying to reduce the the supply of goods and services. But even before that supply is reduced, reduce the supply of money. Before the supply is reduced, when you find that there's so much money in the hands of people and they are chasing after too few goods, again, businesses respond by saying, oh, there's an opportunity that people are buying these things. I can see somebody that is making more money because it's increasing the price of the goods and making a high profit. People will want to go to that business and then start to also do the same kind of business or supply the goods and services that are available that they can see that there's a demand for. Now, by the time you look at it, they may end up becoming again an oversupply of the capacity for those goods and services. That businesses they are all making profits, yes, they are all feeling good, that there's money in the market, people are buying their goods and services, they start building their capacities. Before you know it, they will now start realizing that they have built capacity more than the supply of goods and services, and some of them are selling, some of them are not selling, and it may result in the bankruptcy of some businesses or in them laying off some staff. Okay, and like I said, inflation may have also come in terms of the price of goods and services going up. And then those companies that are laying off, remember when you have a staff, there's no income for that staff. That staff should have had some money in their hands to also buy goods and services in the economy of some sort. They may start tightening their own budget and reducing their spending. People realize, oh, there's some sense of loss of job. Everybody begins to react negatively and tighten their spending. The bankers realize that, oh, there has been an inflation, too much supply of money, so they increase the cost of credit so that people don't have enough. They don't have easy access to credit anymore, or they have to pay higher to get the credit. So there's a reduction of spending. What happens is all that kind of growth that resulted in overheating or overgrowth of the industry or the market may suddenly begin to create a decline because negative behaviors come into play, and that decline holding back because of people are being laid off, overcapacity of businesses. There's now higher cost of credit that may bring about a recession in the economy. Okay, and depending on again how responsive all of these factors are, that recession may bite for a while before again the economy is reflated with some credit. So these are human behaviors, social behaviors that are not really predictable, and the timing and the sequence of activities are not coordinated, that results in the recession and growth and recession and growth of an economy. That is what we call the economic cycle. And so, as a business, you need to understand these cycles and understand what I mean, so that you know how to do things and how to do things. Because if you don't understand these things, like we're talking about the nature of life, when there is, for example, raining season, you should have been preparing yourself to plant as the rainy seasons are coming. You don't prepare to plant in the middle of the rainy season, because that's when you are preparing and you are planting in the middle of the rainy season. Before your plants grow, the rainy season will have been over, and you then may have a rotten harvest or a poor harvest. So the timing of natural seasons of life and the timing of the economic cycles are important for businesses to understand. And so many times as business people, we realize that many of us, we sit in our business. We focus on our business. We want to sell. We want to buy. We want to expand. We want to manage our staff. We're looking at how to get credit. We are so consumed by the challenges of our day-to-day run of our business that we are not able to step back and sit on top of our business and look at our business in relation to the environment. To say, okay, my business that I'm looking at this time, maybe I'm having challenges with my sales or what have you. What is causing it? Is there a recession in the environment? Is there a kind of boom coming? What is going on in the economic cycle that is beginning to affect my business? So there's a need for us as businessmen to sit on top of our business and look at the horizon and see what is happening in the environment in relation to my business, and not just sit in my business alone and be struggling with trying to sell and buy and all of those things. So these are the kind of things we're trying to bring businessmen to understand, that there's a time to step back. Just like Peter said, if somebody is lost in the woods, and you came into the woods for a purpose of maybe enjoying, lazing around, or just taking a trail, and you're just enjoying the nature, but somehow you find yourself in a situation where you cannot recognize where you are, you're not quite sure where was your left turn or right turn, and things are not all going well with what you thought. He says, stop, think and observe, and then plan how to get yourself out. Same thing with our businesses. I mean, nobody says you want to go into a recession or you want to go into a challenge, or you've been selling, customers are coming, your business is booming, suppliers are supplying you, you're even getting suppliers to give you credit, you're giving all our business consumers credit. So many things are tightening up. Those who give credit cannot able to pay back. Your supplier is saying they cannot give you credit anymore, they want you to pay. You're beginning to see that your staff are saying, oh, now you have to increase our salary, you don't have enough money, something is happening around. So you're juggling around many things. That's a good time to stop, think, and observe. Oh, what's going on in the economy? Are we entering a recession? Is it that a recession is near, or the recession is biting harder than we thought, or is it a time to now start to do a recovery? That ability to look back, to step out of your business and look at it from state of your business. Of course, it's not only when you face a challenge, but being able to do that very intermittently, having that awareness and consciousness is what we are saying. You need to understand the economic cycles art. Read the environment and understand the environment. We'll go to another session about how to read the environment, because there are many indices that will be telling you what's going on in our economy, whether the economy is in recession or about to come out, so that you can plan well. If an economy is about to come out of recession and is going to go into recovery, that might be the time to start putting in expansion, because you know that money will soon come. Prosperity is right at the horizon. That's the time to plan your expansion and begin to get the products and supplies and your ecosystem and your value chain system together, so that when the growth begins to occur, you are ready to ride on the waves of that growth. You have equipped yourself. You are giving yourself a knowledge of the horizon, and you can catch the wave. Rather than you're not even sure of what is going on. Some of our competitors have done that, and suddenly you now find out that, all that period of big times, people not buying, is now suddenly gone. There's now economic prosperity. You're like, people are now buying, there's economic prosperity. You're now trying to increase your capacity. That will be too late. You may be too late in the game to ride on that wave. So we're saying to you that as businessmen, you need an understanding of the way the economy works, the dynamics of the economy, understanding all these indices, exchange rate, interest rate, money supply, the GDP growth, whether it is positive or negative, Where are we now? Are we in the recession? Are we just starting the recession? Or are we just about to end the recession? What are the government policies that are now coming out to help people to have money in their hands? Because of the COVID that has happened now, and the shutdown and the lockdowns, and the fact that there was not much money, there was not much transaction being done, government has to now start stimulating economic recovery, giving more credit, giving grants, putting money in the hands of people, doing all kinds of intervention so that they can quickly reverse the recession into a recovery. Understanding these things, managing your business with these things in mind is very important for you so that you can make the right decisions. And I'll just really touch on this last one before we go. The size of the economy is based on the value of spending, but there's also something called the structure of our economy. Where you are as a business. Are you in a primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector, or the quaternary sector? These are different sectors that have different impact of the economic cycles on them. Primary sector is every sector that does something directly from the earth. You are a farmer, you produce from the earth. You are a mining person, you produce from the earth. You mine, you extract. Or you are in oil and gas, you are producing from oil, from the earth. So all of these sectors that are primary, we get all our value from the earth. Wherever you are seated now, and even all that are here, when you look all around you, everything you see that is very tangible, products, whether it is a glass cup, it was produced from porcelain. Porcelain is an offshoot of sand at high temperature. Whether it is my spoon or my fork, produced from metals. These are from alloy, from the soil. Whether it is my laptop, a lot of the things that we wear, our clothes is from the plant called cotton. The Venetian blind is from wood in the forest. Everything is primary from the Mother Earth. So everybody that is involved in producing something is at that level called primary sector. Now, those that are called secondary are those who now add value, who process the primary a bit more. So, for example, Nigeria was agrarian in the old days. We used to produce cocoa, cotton, rubber, granules, and all of these things that we were producing. But we were a primary producer, commodity. We will produce them and sell them off exactly as they are, right? And then we sell them to developed world where we convert them into other value-added products. So the rubber was converted to tires, and then we import the tire. The cotton was converted to garments. We import the garments. The cocoa was converted to chocolate, and the chocolate drinks, we import those ones back. We didn't really have what was called the secondary sector. We are beginning to look at that secondary sector now and try to do that. But even as of today, after 60 years of independence, look at our steel, our oil and gas. We produce the crude oil, we send it out, we refine it into the refined products that we use for our energy, our cars, our generators, our housing, and things like that. We're still importing these things. So that's a missing window that is there in terms of our secondary sector. We have some, but it's not much. We're not supplying our secondary market from our primary sector. And of course, the tertiary sector are the services that are produced: banking service, telecommunication service, entertainment. They are not necessarily secondary based on the primary services or some primary goods. They are just services that we create and give out, entertainment and things like that. So these make up the structure of the economy, and they have a way of influencing our economic cycle also, and they have a way of determining what is going on. So as a close out, I would like each of you, for example, to type to me your own business. What sector do you think your business exists in? Is your business in the primary sector, dealing with Mother Earth, extracting and producing from the basic things of life, of the life? Or are you a secondary sector that is you produce, you are processing what has been produced? You are a processor, you are a manufacturer, or you are a fabricator, you are in the secondary sector. Or you are in the tertiary sector where you are more in the service, offering beauty service or even trade, I want you to chat to me, what sector do you think you are? Now, if all these sectors are not integrated in an economic place, it distorts our economy and creates tension of this cycle we're talking about. So our government is trying to, of course, influence how these things are done so that our economy can be a bit more. Thank you for that person. Secondary, Ademola, Fantastic. Wow, Florence is in tertiary. Okay, good. So you can begin to see yourself where you belong. Each of these types of places have a different influence or response to the cycle of economy. For example, the primary sector, they don't tend to get affected by the economy that much. Not that much. I mean, they are affected, but not that much, because there are still things that need to be produced anyway. Food items need to be produced, people need to still eat food. So they tend to be at the basic level. The secondary may be influenced, may have influence of the economic cycle. You know, when there's recession, it can affect those secondary cycles and the secondary sector. Particularly where the secondary sector is that the input material may be from outside of the country. It may be something you have to import, either as input for your production or input of machinery. So exchange rates can influence the secondary sector very seriously. Tertiary, because people can survive sometimes without this tertiary, they will cut down on their spending. There's something called discretionary spending, and there's something called survival spending, essential spending. Some things are essential to life. Some things are discretionary. You know, discretionary means I can do without them. If your industry is in the tertiary, depending on what sector you are, sometimes people can do without your product or service. And so when there's a recession, they will cut off their spending from that area. You know, they want to reduce their spending and focus on the essential of life. So whatever sector you find yourself also has a way you have to understand the cycle and how that will affect your own sector so that you can manage your business well. Ultimately, not being overwhelmed, you know, and not being thrown into surprise, but you can begin to predict and see how to respond. But sometimes it could depend on your staying power. How do you stay long enough, you know, to ensure that you can deal with these things? I'm going to be rounding up now, but these slides are available for us. So please let's just go through them again and go over them and explain all of these things to us. But some of these things I just said now, I've put them in graphics. The expansion, the peak, the recession, the depression, the recovery, because as a result of these situations of change of human behavior and the dynamics of managing all these things that influence the economy that result in these cycles. And how you know what to do in any of these cycles is important for you as a businessman. And each of those cycles have different characteristics that I've tried to explain to you. Just go through them to read them. We're not making you master economics yet, but we're saying to you, at least be aware. Begin to step back and begin to think and observe so that you know that these things have an influence over your business. There are things that are controllable and non-controllable. There are things that you need to just wait out your investment. Don't put investment yet. Maybe when the economy wants to recover, then you can put in the investment to expand and things like that. It will help your ability to manage your business better when you know how to manage and look at the business cycle, the economic cycles that exist. So all those characteristics are what we have now here that I have earlier explained to us. They're important for us to look at them, study them, begin to become aware, attend seminars. And Peter will be taking us through, you know, even the environmental factors that you need to help you make a judgment on what is the economy saying now. You know, we're going to go through that and the scenarios that will come out of all those things. You begin to get a better understanding. So, like I mentioned, when there's a decline, it creates what is called a vicious cycle. Incomes are falling, sales will fall, production will fall, unemployment will fall. It becomes a vicious cycle. So, people want to manage that decline and quickly bring it back up, you know, to stop that vicious cycle. That's what governments, central bank and central governments try to do. But when there is growth, then it's the other way around. Income is increasing, sales is increasing, production is rising, employment is rising. But again, if you don't manage that, you will end up finding that you have overcapacity, you know, too much capacity, and therefore too many goods chasing too few money, and that itself can result in layoff, in bankruptcy, you know, in drop of sales, in discounting and all kinds of practices. And then by the time the government is holding back the spending to balance that out, it brings about again a recession. So all of these things are challenges that happen naturally, just like in nature, you have all these cycles. Because of human behavior, they're not predictable, but you can at least begin to understand them and know how to respond to them as the case may be. I do hope that what we have said as takeaways, this will help you to begin to see that there's a need for you to realize what these cycles are, so you can make the decisions you need to make at the right time, and then you will not be overwhelmed by the situation of the economy. Thank you very much, and let me begin to hand over to Peter. Thank you. Thank you very much for that session. I hope that wasn't
too heavy, it wasn't too intense. I know there's quite a lot of information that was communicated. but the whole idea, the summary is to understand the dynamics of the business environment that influence the business cycle and causes recession, etc. And also understand what are those elements of the cycle that indicate possible recovery. Okay. Thank you for that. Now, this is just a 2-hour session. So I would just ask that just before we start the next session, you can just do a quick stretch break on your seat. So so that we don't lose too much time. You can just stretch a bit, So if you want to stand up right there, please don't go away. Just do that so that you can stretch and ensure the blood is circulating properly as we go into the next segment. This one is going to be less heavy, hopefully. And so we want to talk now about understanding the environment, environmental assessment, understanding your environment as a business person, and how with that understanding, you can begin to plan different scenarios, potential scenarios, anticipate potential scenarios, and plan what to do. If I take you back to the beginning of this year, it seems like almost a decade ago, but all of this COVID issue, essentially, for us in Nigeria, started early this year. And if you recall, it started off with some news about a new virus in China, in Wuhan, I believe. Okay, now please, if you have any questions or comments on the last session, please just type in your chat and we'll like to get to them as soon as possible. This session is not going to be too long, but remember, it started, with a news of a virus. Many of us probably didn't pay attention to it. And then it started spreading, and all of a sudden we heard that in China, they were locking down cities. And again, some of us thought, wow, that's what happens in communist countries. They lock people up, they tell them what to do. And before we knew it, there was talk of the virus in Italy, and on and on, and one by one, the other European countries started catching it. Now, my question for you is this. At that point, is it possible to have seen the impact that story, seemingly far off China story about a virus, was it possible at the beginning of the year to have looked at it and seen or foreseen the impact that story would be having on us here in Nigeria? Okay, was it possible? Could we have known? Okay, well, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. But you see, the point is this. It is possible that maybe somebody paying attention to what's happening could have known that, oh, this thing that happened in China, see the way they responded. Hopefully, we pray God that it doesn't come to Nigeria. But what if it did? What if it did? What would my response be? What would your response be? Was it possible that there was anybody back in January that was thinking about that? Very few, because for most of us, it caught us unawares. But you see, that makes emphasizes the point about understanding your environment, because things that happen in the environment, sometimes in a seemingly far away environment, very often have an impact, have a bearing on what you do. And so it's important to understand the environment. Now, it's not always far off in another country, your immediate environment, understanding that, okay? And that's what we want to talk about now. And as a business, you start off by understanding where is your business in terms of the growth phase of your business. Different businesses at different phases of growth will have different impact. The environment will have different impact on them. So if your business is at the startup phase, the impact of dynamics in the environment may be different from if your business is a mature business or if it's in a phase of growth. So, of course, it's important to understand where are you in your business. Is this business still a growth business? Are we at the early stages of startup where there's a lot of potential for growth? That understanding about your business helps you to put a context to the environment. But let's go back to talk about the environment now. Benga made a very important statement that I want to pick up from. And he talked about business people who are sitting inside their business as against sitting on top of their business. And I want to just take time to explain again what that means, because that's such an important statement, particularly for small or medium and even micro enterprises. Maybe you own a hotel, okay? Okay, Bolaji Jesus says this very positive comments. Thank you, Accion Microfinance Bank. You're doing a great job in this program. I deeply appreciate you for exposing us to the real dynamics of doing business in an economy like ours. Thank you very much, Mr. Bolaji. And hopefully, as we go on, it will become even more interesting and even more relevant. And so, we're talking about understanding the environment and the people environment. And I said, I took you to that statement that Benga made, and I want to just talk a bit about it now. He talked about the importance of sitting on top of your business rather than in your business. What do we mean by sitting in your business? That's where you're so heavily involved in the details of every single aspect of the operations of your business, such that you are almost overwhelmed by the operations and you're barely able to get by on the operations. Almost everything you have to be involved in everything for it to happen. And if you're not there, almost nothing gets done. That's essentially what it means to be sitting inside the business. And as against sitting on top of the business, where you have a good grasp of the operations of the business, you are monitoring and controlling what needs to be monitored and controlled, but you are also able to stand back and take a holistic view of your business, not just now trying to move from day-to-day operations, but where is this business going? What are the dynamics of the environment around me, and how do they impact on my business? What are the trends that I'm observing, whether in my industry, my market, or in a related market that may impact on mine? Very, very important. We've seen situations where markets and industries are almost merging and overlapping now. Why? Because people are being more aggressive, looking for more opportunities for growth. So the person that doesn't understand that his business, the way it was, or his industry, the way it was before, it is evolving, and can see those dynamics and how it impacts his business, may be caught unawares when big changes happen. And so the whole point of environmental assessment, of understanding the environment, is to say that it's important that you are able to step back, sit on top of your business, have a good grasp of the operations, but understand what's going on around you and how it may impact your business. Possibly someone that may have been doing that, maybe you're in the hospitality business. Hospitality, either in terms of a hotel, you're running a boutique hotel, or you're an events planner, or maybe you're a caterer, you're supplying food, some things like that. Maybe potentially that person was looking out at the environment and asking himself or herself, hey, what's this COVID thing that's happening in China, or they're talking about in Europe? And maybe ask yourself, supposing, we pray God it doesn't come to Nigeria, but supposing it comes to Nigeria, how is that going to impact my business? It is possible that person maybe have been just a bit more prepared to deal with the consequences than someone that was not thinking that way at all. That is the value of understanding the environment, of being able to assess the environment, to anticipate the trends, anticipate what is coming, what may be a threat or an opportunity, and then understand the implications for your business, and most importantly, not just know it to say I know it, but be able to position your business so that if that thing that is coming is a threat, you are positioning your business to withstand that threat. Or if it's an opportunity, you are positioning your business to take advantage of the opportunity. So again, for example, for the person that is in the education business, maybe your education, Nigeria's population is booming. So there are more than enough children. The demand for good quality school is increasing by the day. So it may seem to some, look, if I can build more classrooms, as many classrooms I can build, it won't be a problem to fill it. But somebody looking at the trend may have thought, hey, now there's a lot of education is going online. Maybe I should begin to equip my school with capacity for online education so that in case there are any disruptions. Now, I know at the beginning of January, it may not have been easy to think what possible disruption could there be. But if you are looking at the what was going on in Wuhan and how it was shut down, that person would have asked himself, potentially, what if Lagos was shut down? It may be a very preposterous what if at the time. But if you ask yourself, what if Lagos was shut down? What will happen to my school? It would have occurred to you that, hey, I must have some sort of online technology-based educational infrastructure. So that is what scenario planning does for you. Understanding the environmental assessment and scenario planning does for you. It helps you to understand what's coming and then be able to say, position your business so that you are not adversely affected by what's coming on. Rather, you are able to take advantage of it and grow or pivot your business accordingly. What do we mean when we say pivot your business? That means to say, if you're in a particular business or a particular industry and there's trouble ahead in that industry, then you step back and look at the assets I have, whether they're equipment, whether it's intellectual property. How can I use these assets to generate a new line of business different from the one that I'm in now that's being threatened? Or it could even be customers. This customer base I have, if what I'm currently supplying to them is going to be threatened or the demand will drop, how can I leverage on this goodwill with my customers to introduce something or something new? Okay, so that's what we mean by pivoting your business, turning it from what you're doing currently that may be threatened or may be at risk to another line of business that has potential for growth and increase more than what you're in before. And that's what understanding the environment does for you. So very quickly, we're going to look at a simple model that helps you to think through the environment. It's called PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E. It's an acronym. And what does the PESTLE stand for? It stands for political environment, economic environment, social environment, technological environment. The L there is the legal environment. We didn't go into detail in that for this training. And then the second E is the environmental aspects of the environment, almost the environmental environment. Yes, but it's saying that this is a good way to dimension, to organize the environment around you. What is happening in the political environment that will impact your business? What's happening in the economic environment that will impact your business? What's happening in the social environment that will impact your business? What's happening in the technological environment that will impact your business? And then the environmental aspects, we're talking about climate change, we're talking about health. Health is part of environment. So in reality, the current recession was as a result of environmental issues with respect to a health threat that came suddenly. Okay, and every government now began to see how can we respond to that health threat, that environmental threat, and certain political decisions were taken to shut down cities, to shut down the countries, to shut down travel, etc. Okay, and then those political decisions had their own social impact. People that were in our society were used to so much interaction and so much celebration. All of a sudden, we were told to end those celebrations. And we're not in the celebration, but end the interaction aspect of the celebration. And what you as a business person needs to do, being seated on top of your organization and taking a view of the environment, say, what are the trends? What are the things that I may see in technology that will impact my business that I need to be aware of? Today, it is obvious now that any school, private school, that did not position itself to be able to deliver their classes through internet technology, that school would have been at a clear disadvantage. So those schools that were, should we say, were in a position to win, i.e., win in this case means continue to have revenue, even though students were prevented from coming to school, were those that were able to leverage technology. Now, of course, once this thing happened, we saw many schools scramble to set up Zoom, but education is more than Zoom. There are some that are doing it so well that they are able to continue doing it now and charge more. Okay, so that again, that's made possible because of the new technologies for communication and interaction and meeting that are available. What we are doing now, this Zoom trading, is evidence of that. Okay, so in summary, was saying that as a business person, it's important that you understand the environment, you're able to assess the environment so that you can understand what are the implications of the trends in the environment on my business. And those trends and implications come either from the political arena, the economic arena, economic decisions that are being made, the social arena, the technological arena, etc. Okay, so even now, you know, people that were in the events planning business, etc., are having to redefine those businesses because the social dynamics now have been impacted as a result of COVID-19. And you as a business person, you need to understand, are those social impacts, are they permanent? Are they likely to be completely reversed? Or is it likely to be somewhere in between where people are able to do a lot more online, but still engage and meet in certain circumstances? And if that is what the scenario that's going to play out, what impact does it have for me on my events planning business? What impact does it have for me on my hotel business? And what do I need to do? Okay, so understanding this and then being able to
Hello. Mr. Peter, we can't hear you anymore.
Yes, sorry. I think we had a internet disruption, so we're reconnecting.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I'm actually on a separate. I'm on a separate
device.
Exactly, I'm on 2 different devices. So apologies for that.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Are
reconnecting through the other. Let me see if I can quickly.
Okay. Okay, so while Peter is trying to come up, I'll just like to quickly give some share some of the insights I was able to get from your training, your presentation, and that of Peter. So for me, this training has been very insightful. I have learned that I need to scan and understand my environment for me to be able to thrive in my business. I've also learned that in crisis, I should always learn to stop. Stop means I should stop, think, observe, and plan. You know, and it's also important for us to also be innovative. And talking about innovation, one of the things we have done in Accion is actually to see how we can empower customers in being innovative in their businesses. And one of the initiatives is our partnership with Jumia. So we are currently in partnership with Jumia e-commerce platform, whereby our customers who are willing or interested in selling their products can actually be onboarded as merchants on Jumia. So in an event, there are even restrictions in movement, probably there's a lockdown or something, you can still make sales while you're selling your product on Jumia. So my colleague will put up the link in which you can use in joining the Jumia e-commerce platform. It's something we have come up as a bank and we think it will be beneficial to our customers. I can see Peter is back.
Yes.
Okay, so Peter, yes, I just felt that while we were waiting for you to reconnect, I should just quickly bring that up. So you can continue, please. You can continue.
Yes, I was actually rounding up. Up this segment. Okay. So I apologize for that breaking transmission. Like I said, it's internet connection. I had to quickly jump onto another one. But like I was summarizing, the important thing is understanding the environment and how it impacts your business and with that understanding, being able to anticipate what are the potential likely scenarios that can occur with regards to any of these areas and how it will impact your business, and then you can plan for it. You can anticipate it, like the examples I gave you. Okay, I gave another example in the previous class. If you are a restaurant owner, you're doing the food business and you have a restaurant and you're doing good turnover. With the lockdown, nobody was allowed to come out. Very few people, nobody was allowed to sit in. Okay, begin to deliver food. Okay, it requires a few more competencies. Now you need to add delivery to your competence, so you can either develop that competence yourself or buy it in from a service provider. But it's an opportunity to pivot your business. And of course, that means that a lot of the marketing and selling has to be done online. So, but again, that anticipating what will happen in the environment is what prompts you to say, let me build up this skill, build up this opportunity, or pivot my business so that if this stream shuts down, I'm able to grow this other stream. And that's the whole idea. And for you to do that, you can't be overwhelmed by the operations of your business to the point where you are unable to stop, think, observe, and plan. So thank you very much for that. I hope that was useful. I'm going to hand you back over to Benga, and he's going to take us through the last segment of this training program. Thank you. And once again, if you have any questions or you have any observations, please type them into the chat and we'll respond as quickly as we can. Okay? As quickly as we can. Thank you.
Hi, Tokumbo, please, I need again permission to be able to share my screen, please.
Okay, that'll be done shortly. Admin, please grant Owolabi permission to share screen. Thank you. Can you share now?
Thank you for your feedback. For those who have been making comments, it's been very interesting and exciting for us. Just like Peter had said, the environment is important for us to understand, make sure that we are looking out for the trends, because those environments are what it is that you can come to a conclusion about as to where are we in the economic cycle, and the kinds of decisions you would need to make can be influenced by the timing that we are in the economic cycle. Like he gave the example of restaurants, even during the lockdown in the time of the COVID, when we were not quite sure what the environment would be like and the impact it was going to have on our social life, and government had to say everyone should stay at home. Some businesses that were restaurants before pivoted into other kinds of services. And so like he mentioned that some were doing home delivery. I also know quite a couple of restaurants who began to do training, online training of recipes, and helping people to know how to cook certain delicacies. But apart from those trainings and those online recipes that were being provided, they also gave people the opportunity to still buy their packages online. And for those who are into entertainment, we did mention, for example, now that the entertainment and the event planning industry particularly has moved to both physical and virtual. A lot of events now are taking place virtually with very few numbers, because government said not more than 20 people can gather together, or not more than 50 can gather together. So for most families, they will call only their very close relatives or relations or friends, and then the rest, people that could not make it physically, can join online.
I attended burial ceremonies, naming ceremonies, birthday ceremonies, wedding ceremonies, and even dedication of babies, all online. I mean, I attended burials in the US, weddings in different towns. So many of us will just zoom in and take part. And you find that even in those events, the online version, you still have your compare. You still have the music people, everybody logged in from different places, and the program still takes place as though we're all in the same location. And some were even very creative to the point that they even distribute food items to the different locations, particularly if you're within the same city. They would have programmed the logistics man to distribute food items, and the food items will get to your doorstep. For those who are doing children's party, for example, they will distribute the party packs and the activity packs, and even the event planners and the event managers use the activity packs in the respective homes of those children to still engage the children in activities that is fun to those children. So many businesses took advantage. You can look at your competence and say, okay, what am I good at? What do I need to do differently to ensure that I can still reposition my business, even whether there's a disruption or whatever the economic cycle that the business may be going, the economy may be going through. So responding how to reposition your business for recovery and growth is the last segment that we'll be taking, and then we'll allow for questions and answers. And tomorrow's session will be more or less on all of these topics and introducing new concepts, but more of engaging specific to your own business, anything that you need. We have a worksheet, a very simple worksheet that is also based on this next segment I'm going to be discussing with us. And that worksheet has a couple of questions that will stimulate thoughts for us in terms of the areas of our business. And then hopefully those thoughts can help to engage you on a one-on-one with regards to the areas of your business you need any assistance. So please do take advantage. So going back to repositioning for recovery and growth as a business, even though our own economy currently is still in a recession, let me also say that Accion Microfinance Bank, even as a bank, they understand this issue of the cyclical nature of our economy. They understand it, and they are managing their own business, even with that regard. Nigeria turned 60 years of independence this year, 2020, around October. And Forbes did an article on Nigeria. Forbes article did an article on Nigeria for the 60th anniversary. And the managing director of Accion Microfinance Bank was interviewed into that Forbes magazine. And I just took this excerpt of that article. You know, the bank, of course, was established in 2016. It has become one of the largest microfinance banks in Nigeria now. It's led by the CEO, Taiwo Joda, who has also had 27 years of extensive experience. And in that session, he was saying that the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, this is quoting the managing director of Accion now, has announced a 5-year economic plan to recapitalize Nigerian banks, and Accion Microfinance Bank is already ahead of the curve. So the bank is already thinking ahead, even beyond the fact that the central bank is now making it a policy for the Nigerian banks to recapitalize. So he says the bank is already ahead of the curve to achieve the next level of banking and microfinance. Now look at this. It says capital is crucial for organizations to absorb the cyclical fluctuations that come from the economy. So I underline that, the cyclical fluctuations, the recession and the growth, the recovery, the growth, and then the peak, and then the recession again. So they recognize this, and they know that capital is important for them. And Jola said that with the COVID-19 crisis serving as a prime example, of course, to that situation, it is important to drive confidence in the economy and the microfinance sector so that the players in the industry are comfortable. So they have already recapitalized themselves. Right now, if you're a national microfinance bank, the capitalization requirement from central bank is 2 billion, the shareholders' capital. But going forward, the microfinance banks must have 5 billion. But in the case of Accion Microfinance Bank, they've already raised and exceeded that 5 billion. And so they have the capital base to support the businesses that they are providing help to. So if they as a bank are managing with the view of the economic cycle, that's why they're trying to bring you as their own customer to also know that you need to manage with the economic cycle in mind, so that you take the right decisions ahead of time to know what to do in whatever state of the economy that our businesses find themselves. So what do we do now to reposition? There are just three fundamental things. We're working on a concept that was put out there in the public space by Deloitte, Touche and Tomatsu. It says respond, recover, and then thrive. At least those three things are what it is as a business we need to do now, based on where we are, based on the impact of COVID-19, the impact of the pandemic, the impact of the recession. Of course, governments are trying to stimulate the economic recovery and growth to stem the depth of the recession so that we can come out of it faster. So you need to respond, you need to recover, and then you need to thrive. And in responding, we're saying deal with the present situation and manage for continuity. Don't fret. There are just some fundamentals you need to understand. How do I continue to keep my customers? How do I continue to be a going concern and manage my cash flow? Just like blood, the blood flow is to the human life, so also cash flow is to a business. When your cash flow is disrupted or when your cash flow ceases, then a business may go into bankruptcy or may fail and be liquidated. So you need to understand the issue of cash flow and how to manage your cash flow and how to ensure that you go on for continuity. And let me just mention here up front that there are at least 4 elements that a business needs to take care of for continuity purposes, in managing your risk and for continuity purposes. And those are the 4 things that are very critical. They are like critical assets that you must be able to ensure that it does not get endangered. Every business exists for customers. So the first thing is to ensure that you know your customers. You know who your customers are. Have information about your customers. Many businesses are transactional and they just deal with customers as though they are transactions. Customers come and go. And many small businesses are like that. For you to grow, for you to have structure, for you to have some plans in place for expansion, you must know your customers. Even the banking sector, Accion, they do what is called KYC, know your customers. So they are reaching out to you customers. They reach out to you deliberately. They reach out to you discreetly. They send you information. They want to celebrate you. So you must know your customers, even if it just means have your customers' names on your phone or on your WhatsApp chat. Create a chat for a WhatsApp group for your customers so that you can post things to them, inform them about what your company has, offerings you have, discounts you have, things you are doing, initiatives you are doing to continue to elicit their patronage, celebrate them and things like that. Have your customers on hand and know them. Of course, the next one is what I would call your own product or service, your stock, your product or service, that which you are offering to the customer. Of course, you need to be on top of that, have a knowledge of your product and the stock that you are offering them. The product itself, what's the value proposition to your product? What is it that they are getting from your product? And be able to communicate that, and what quantity do you have, that is available to them. If you are dealing with stock keeping units, they call it SKU, stock keeping unit. Your product may be in different sizes. Your product may be in different variants, okay? So if I'm doing body products, I'm somebody that produces body products, I may produce some that are maybe mild, some that are perfumed, some that are plain, depending on the kind of product. I may produce some that are in bottle, some that are in jars, some that are liquid, So all those different product types and the size are what is called stock keeping unit, SKU. How many do you have? What is it that your customers like? Which ones are doing well? And then what is your inventory on them, so that you don't also lose your inventory. You don't want people to steal your product, particularly maybe your staff and things like that. So you must have information on your products. Then you must have data and generally information. Manage your information, the things that go in and out, and information is captured based on your transaction. Have invoice, have receipts, have a cash book, have a stock book, have some basic record keeping, bookkeeping templates that help you to capture information about your business so that you can analyze, you can step back and analyze and look at the trend of what is going on in your own business. You know, information is critical. And if you can digitize the information, it's very important. If you can make that information digital, that is having it in a digital format, you know. And then of course, the fourth one is the cash itself, you know, money. Have your money in your bank. Know how much is coming in, how much is going out, be able to manage your expenses and all of that, your cash flow. If you're a company that was giving out credit before, for example, how much money do you have outside? How many days do you give your customers before they pay back? How much credit can they take in terms of volume accumulated? And sometimes when there are disruptions like this, you may need to reduce those credits so that they can pay back on time. You may even need to give them some incentive to pay back on time. Tell them that, look, if you are owing 10, you can pay back 9 if you pay back within 30 days. Give them 10% discount. So it's like you are sharing your profit back to them. But why are you doing that? You want them to give you the cash. You want to have the money at hand, because cash flow is very critical for every business. Because when you have the money at hand, then you can do your expenses, then you can do your stock replenishment, as the case may be, or you can at least reserve the cash for future need, or get it to begin to give you some interest, either from savings or whatever it is that the banks can offer you. So those 4 fundamentals are very important for you as a business, for business continuity. Your customers, have your information on them, have database on them. Your product itself, know what you are serving your customers, have your information on your products. You know, make sure you have your inventory, the information about your business, have all the necessary working documents, you know, books, and keep the books of your accounting, credit and debit, your sales book, your purchase book, your inventory book, your customer information book. Know your customers' information, the things that are interesting about them to celebrate their birthday at least. Send them text messages, celebrate their patronage and things like that. So always keep information, keep your information and keep it safe and analyze it. And then of course, then the fourth one, like I said, is the credit. And so your cash, make sure you have your cash flow, know where your money is, know how much is outside, know how much you have on hand, know how much is in your bank, manage your flow of cash so that you don't disrupt your business. So in recovery, you need to look at your current situation, you know, and try and manage for continuity. Then, in responding, in responding. Then in recovery, learn from the situations that are on ground and then do new things to emerge stronger. Like we'll be talking about pivoting. There's something called the business model canvas that allows you to pivot your business. It knows what are the assets you have, what are you stronger, how can you change that asset to another thing that can still offer you another kind of product and service to create a new stream of income to your business from the same customers or from a different set of customers. I'm just going to go into this quickly. So in responding, do what is called a business continuity planning by doing a business impact analysis. Know how has this thing impacted your business, you know, identify the areas of the impact, analyze them, and then redesign for how you can do things differently to execute, and then measure whether you are doing well on what you have done. So there are some templates you can find online, for example, that give you an example of business impact analysis. How has this affected my customers? Are they still coming? Do they still want my goods, just that they cannot come? Like parents still wanted education for their children, because education is an essential income area, but just that the schools were told to shut down. So the problem was not with the customer or the consumer, not with the students or the parents, but just that they cannot access the school in a physical manner. So once you understand the impact area, then you now redesign by saying, okay, how can we get to our children? And some people went as little as recording WhatsApp messages and curriculum and posting it to the children, depending on the level of your students' economic social level where they are. Not every private organization is serving the rich that have internet access, okay? But some of them at least have phones and data that they can easily use WhatsApp. So some schools, as basic as just doing WhatsApp video, The teacher puts the notes down, gives the assignment, post it to the parents. The parents are helping the children at home. They record it back, they do the assignment, they take the picture, post it back to the teacher. At least some form of education was being done in that regard. So identify the areas of the impact of your business, analyze it, and then redesign and see how you can change that business to do something different for business continuity planning. So this is just a sample of a business impact template. If you Google it, you can find many other types of templates out there. They help you to know what kind of choices you need to make that will be good or bad for your business in the future and how to then reposition yourself. But in the area of responding, again, we need to look at, in the area of recovery, we need to look at how your business can navigate out. Like I've mentioned, these same things are the areas we're talking about. We will share with you a business template, like I said, that has a couple of questions that will help you look at these areas of your business and then see what can you do differently or what is it asking you to do that will help you. So understanding your customers' needs, their expectation, has it changed, you know, and how do you communicate with them and engage them with your proposition? Making sure that your cash flow is in order, understanding the current health of your business and the cash flow, and then how is it preparing you for the new normal? We're in a new normal environment now. We're not going to go back to the pre-COVID years. Things have changed, fundamentals have changed, and we need to continue to look at that. Then reorganizing your supply chain. You must remember that your business is always within a supply chain. There's an ecosystem around your business. You are getting your products or services from a supplier. You are selling to someone else. For example, those of us who are into event management, where the event will take place may not be your own location. So that locations where events will take place, how well do you know them? How well are you rating with them? Some of the suppliers that are going to be involved in the event, the caterers, the bouncers, security people, the decorators, they may not also be your own businesses, but you are someone who manages all those ecosystems to deliver an event, a memorable event on behalf of your clients. So again, understanding your supply chain and how to reorganize them is also very important. Where you're now doing online, you may not still need any more bouncers, but maybe now you still need the caterers, and you need the caterers that have ability to supply rather than just bring to a location, but that can supply distributed. So if the caterer cannot do that, then you need to augment with a logistics company, those who do delivery services. A lot of biking companies that do delivery services within a particular region. So understanding your supply chain and being able to reorganize, and then your own workforce, thinking about your workforce. What do I need to do? Can I still keep all of these people, or do I let them go for a short time and put them on contract? There was one of the recessions that occurred in Nigeria, 2009, 2010, as a result of the global credit crunch that came upon Nigeria from America some years back. Our own consulting company, we had an overhead of about 15 staff that we're carrying every month. And because we're project-based, we have to make a decision on our workforce and make a lot of them to become part-time associates of the business. So that when we have no project at all, they are free to do other things. They can go into their own business and consult somewhere else. And when we have a project, we re-engage them for the project. We work together because we have built them, we've trained them, they understand our systems. We just flipped them from, rather than being full-time employees, to becoming associates that come on a project by project. So our cost base changed to what you will call, rather than a fixed cost, it became a variable cost. Variable in the sense that we only incur that cost based on an existing project, okay? Then you have to look for areas of digitalizing your business. We're in a digital space now. The digital world is upon us. The e-commerce world is upon us. You have to be both brick and mortar and digital, and you have to know how to respond as a business. And this template says you can reflect on where are you today? Where do you stand today? Then what can you do to kickstart or change for tomorrow? And then how can you start to shape your future? So reflect, restart, and then revitalize. And this template is available on the site for Accion. They will send us the link so that we can go through them, and then we can see what we can do with that information. This will be the basis of our discussion tomorrow, this same time. 10 o'clock. So on that note, I want to just say to you that if you can type in any questions you have now, let's look at it, engage with you. Otherwise, please go through those templates. I can just share maybe one or two of those templates to us now so that we can see what it looks like. And then when we go online, we can begin to view the template. I'm not quite sure whether they are big enough, but I hope you can see them. Like I said, there are 3 elements to those areas. Under each of the 6 areas I've mentioned, your understanding your customer, the cash flow, and all the other things I've mentioned, you can reflect, restart, and then revitalize. And there are questions that help us and guide us in that regard. So under the knowing your customers' need, reflecting, it says, are your customers aware of the impact of this disruption, for example, on your own business? You know, are they aware? How have your customers changed? Who are your customers? Do you know who your customers are? And in terms of customers, do you know their profile? Do you know why they need what they are getting from you? And then how well do you know them? And how well do you understand the needs that they want? And being able to address those needs and all of that. So very simple questions that can help you to reflect on where you are today. And then restarting, what can you do differently? You know, how do you change your offering between digital and physical? Is your service today, can it be digitized in some form? Why? How? What would you need to do that? You know, and all those questions are available. And then as you answer them, it puts down your thoughts. You can begin to see, what can I do differently to reposition my business in a way that I can still ride this time of the crisis, and hopefully when the recession is over, I can then catch the wave of the growth. And then to revitalize this, how can you start to shape yourself for the future, you know, in a way where even the entire business model can change and be adapted based on relationships and a different form of engaging your customers. Whatever you come up with in the reflect, restart, and revitalize questions, when you put your plans down, you can then start to make that work plan something that these are the to-dos I'm going to be doing going forward in order to ensure that I can change my business and reposition for the future. So that's the template we have. I hope Tokumbo can share the link to where they can get this template online so that they can go on it. As many of you can go on it today and read it and go through it so that for tomorrow we can use that as a basis of our discussion. Tomorrow will be very interactive. It will be question and answer based with a lot more examples. But you are so good. We're going to take a couple of questions now if you have any. If you want to ask your questions, raise your hand, or you can just type your questions onto the chat box and then we will attend to it. Thank you very much for your time. I do hope that this has been quite insightful for you. So we'll be looking forward to your questions. And then please, Tokumbo, can we share the link?
Sure, we will. We'll share it before the close of business today.
All right.
Yes.
So
Thank you very much.
Reminded, we would like to have your email so that we can send you the e-certificates for attending this program.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Benga and Peter, for the fantastic presentation. Very insightful and very informative. Thank you so much. We have dropped we'd like you to drop your email address, your name, your email address, and telephone number in the chat box, please, so we can email you your certificate of attendance. We have also dropped in the chat box the link in which you can use in joining the Jumia e-commerce platform. Like I mentioned earlier, we're in partnership with Jumia, and we're looking at our customers being onboarded, being merchants on the Jumia platform so they can make their sales, not just in their physical stores, but also make sales on the e-commerce platform. Again, we have revamped our digital platforms to be more user-friendly, So our USSD code is *572#, and we also have our mobile app in which you can download from the Apple Store or from the Play Store, iOS Play Store. I would want us to have you. We are going to bring up the second poll questions now. Admin, please put up the poll questions. The poll questions is just for you to assess the session, tell you how, just for you to let us know how you have how you find the session, if it's been impactful, and if it has actually met your objectives. So please, it won't take you more than 2 minutes. Kindly fill the questions and then let's have your feedback. And while the poll questions are up, I'd also like to inform us that, like I mentioned earlier, we'll be giving our gifts to the participants. So what we have done is we are giving our gift to the first 5 attendees. So the first people that signed up this morning are, let me quickly run through their names. Okay, so we have Odu Modupeola Mopelola. Odu Modupeola Mopelola. We have Tunde Ijaola. We have Aderoba. We have AGK Oma, and we have Moyi Ogbona. Those were the 5 people that signed up initially when we started in the morning. They were the first 5 to sign up. So you get a gift from Accion. Kindly drop your name, your email address, and your telephone number in the chat box. We will get across to you and then send you your gift. Thank you. Again, Ademola was the first person to respond to answer the question on STOP correctly. The acronym, the meaning of the acronym STOP. Ademola, please also drop your email and telephone number in the chat box. We will reach out to you and then send your gift across to you. Thank you. So we are waiting for more people to answer the poll questions. While that is up, so please, we implore you to please join the concluding part tomorrow. Same time, we would sign up at 9:40. It promises to be more engaging and insightful. So please make it a date with us. And I'd also like you to know that in Accion, our mission is to ensure that we empower you to greater heights. That's what we stand for in Accion. So please make out time to join us tomorrow for the concluding part of this training. Thank you. Kindly drop your details in the chat box. I'm going to read out the names of the winners once again. We have Modupe Ola Mopelola, Tunde Ijaola, Aderoba, HK Oma, and Moyi Ogbona. Ademola also won the prize for the first participant to answer the question correctly. Please drop your details in the chat box. Thank you. We will share the slides with you. We'll send them to your email address. So please drop your email address. Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Bolaji. Thank you. Please fill the poll questions. Thank you. Remember to join on time tomorrow, so you might be a lucky winner tomorrow as well. Looking forward to you signing up tomorrow. The training would open at 9:40. Thank you. If you don't mind, you can drop your branch name as well. Your branch name, you can drop your branch name as well. Please drop your telephone number. If I have mentioned your name as a winner, please drop your telephone number and your email address so we can reach out to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mojopeola. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, Takuba.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for taking our time to join us. We really appreciate this. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
With Accion, no. My future is bright, oh. With Accion, no. My future is bright, oh. It's bright, oh.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Hey, Accion, star 572 hash. Now the code Accion, star 572 hash. Honey, go. Open account with Accion to save for tomorrow. There's an easy way to bank every day. Hey, star 572 hash. Now here we go. I know get to a holla. Oh, it's a life. Oh, money on the go. Star 572 hash. Oh, get a life. Oh, my future is bright. Star 572 hash. Send money to family and friends and business partners on top your phone. Wherever you are, whatever you do, hey, pay your bills and recharge
Jiri
your
ni
phone.
Accion Bank we kugo kun. Piano star 572 ash.
má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sílé ìfowópamọ́ èwo.
ṣé pé tí mo bá ṣí àkáǹtì pẹ̀lú Accion wá máa.
Iya karba bin sai baki.
Save money now to pay your bills, and you fit to get the loan to grow your business. Well, my future is bright, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. It's bright, oh.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Accion, star 572 hash. Accion to save for tomorrow. There's a new 572 hash. Now hear me go. I know get to wahala. Oh, it's a life. Oh, money on me go. Star 572 hash. Oh, get a life. Oh, my future is bright. Star 572 hash. Send money to family and friends and business partner on top your phone. Wherever you are, whatever you do, hey, pay your bills and recharge
Jiri
your
ni
phone.
Accion Bank we kugo kun. Piano star 572 hash.
Má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ ìwọ ṣáà ti tẹ star 572 hash lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Nítòótọ́, ṣé pé tí mo bá ṣí àkáǹtì pẹ̀lú Accion wá máa máyé rọrùn fún mi?
Ina son iya karɓar kuɗin Accion banki na yi amfani kai ƙara kasuwa ta.
Chai, Accion Bank nwekwara ni ATM
No
card.
need to stress, I no need the stress. With Accion Microfinance Bank, I deal with the best, I no settle for less. Bank where they make your life better. With checking the money, you fit open accounts. Save money now to pay your bills. And you fit to get the loan to grow your business. Well, my future is bright, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion Bank. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion Bank. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion Bank. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. It's bright, oh.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Accion, star 572 hash. Now the code Accion, star 572 hash. Money go. Open accounts with Accion to save for tomorrow. There's an easy way to bank every day. Hey, star 572 hash. Now hear me go. I know get to wahala. Oh, it's a life. Oh, money on me go. Star 572 hash. Oh, get a life. Oh, my future is bright. Star 572 hash. Send money to family and friends and business partners on top your phone. Wherever you are, whatever you do, hey, pay your bills and recharge
Jiri ni
your phone.
Accion Bank we kugo kun. Piano star 572 hash.
Má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ ìwọ ṣáà ti tẹ star 572 hash lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Nítòótọ́, ṣé pé tí mo bá ṣí àkáǹtì pẹ̀lú Accion wá máa máyé rọrùn fún mi?
Ina son iya karɓar kuɗin Accion banki na yi amfani kai ƙara kasuwa ta.
Chai, Accion Bank nwekwara ni ATM
No
card.
need to stress, I no need the stress. With Accion Microfinance Bank, I deal with the best, I no settle for less. Bank where they make your life better. With checking the money, you fit open accounts. Save money now to pay your bills. And you fit to get the loan to grow your business. Well, my future is bright, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion Bank. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion Bank. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. With Accion Bank. With Accion, oh. My future is bright, oh. It's bright, oh.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
Accion, star 572 hash. Now the code Accion, star 572 hash. Money go. Open accounts with Accion to save for tomorrow. There's an easy way to bank every day. Hey, star 572 hash. Now hear me go. I know get to wahala. Oh, it's a life. Oh, money on me go. Star 572
star 572 hash.
Má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sílé ìfowópamọ́ ìwọ ṣáà ti tẹ star 572 hash lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ.
Accion Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.
nítòótọ́ ṣé pé tí mo bá ṣí àkáǹtì pẹ̀lú Accion wá máa máyé rọrùn fún mi.
Ina son iya karɓar kuɗin Accion banki na yi amfani kai ƙara kasuwa ta.
Chai, Accion Bank ń kwara ní ATM card.
It's Accion microfinance. Best answer for